going to set up this VFD to use the potentiometer input instead of the communications from the Modbus addressing from the Modbus comms module. If you don't have access to the PLC program and you still want to have speed control, we can just do it with the regular pod here. So here's the quick start guide that's showing what values we may have to change and how to hook up the potentiometer. So looking here, here's the potentiometer speed pot, showing it right here, hooks to ground, AI1 and 10 volt. So the signal coming back from the pot will be this AI1, and we're going to look down below. This is the addressing on the VFD. DEF just stands for the default, so these are the default values that are in the drive. If you did a drive reset or from the factory, it'll be the defaults, and we want to make sure that and it's already set from the factory, that it will take the analog in reference for a speed reference. We're not going to set it to 1 in this instance. If when you just have the PLC only that's going to drive this, and you don't want to use the start stop local buttons, you would set this to 1, but we're going to demo it, so I still want that local buttons to be active, so I'm going to leave this set at 2. So this is what your wiring your digital into it would look like from the PLC. So zoom this back, you can see here the drive, and you can see to get into the menus where the settings are, you hit menu and you're able to scroll through them. So this is saying parameters menu, which is what we need to be in, but here are your other options. But in the parameters menu, we were just looking at parameter 0220 and parameter 0222. I'm going to check those, so I can hit enter the parameters, and then quick scroll to 0220. And it shows you the value is 2, which is what we want. If you were already hooked up and you just want the PLC to have the control on these to deactivate those, you would change that to a 1. So if I wanted to change that, I would enter, change to whatever, 1, and hit enter again, and it would show you that it did change it. We still want it to be 2 because I want the local buttons to work. And we want to check the other value, B222, so 1 in there. So looking back at the quick start guide, the 1 means that the remote reference, it'll look at the remote reference speed pot. So that all looks good. Another pretty neat feature of this, in menu, when I was back over here, escape out of this, when I hit menu and I want to go down to this one that says mod, so this will show you only the addresses that have been modified. So if I hit enter, it's going to say that 221's been modified, and that's the only modification I've made from default to this drive. So kind of a neat feature. So now if I escape out of this, I'm back to, this is a regular, like a run menu, and it's showing the speed in hertz, and it's also showing our reference. So here's the potentiometer I've hooked up to it. And this is going to the terminals that I discussed earlier in the quick start. We were looking at the quick start guide. So if I hit start, it should be local active. So the drive is ramping up to 53.6 hertz. And if we want to change it with the pot, we're able to do that with this speed pot. So you don't have to, if you don't have the slider bars available on the HMI because of the Modbus addressing, we can always just have a physical speed pot with a weatherproof enclosure over it. That's all there is to it.